Hi guys, I'm back. Um, I have a bunch of videos that I want to make, and because I don't write in a script and I don't write an outline of any sort, or scribble down things I want to cover, the ideas just sort of pile up in my head, and and then I kind of have been making a list like, oh yeah, I want to go over that, I want to go over that. So a couple of things that I want to go over, but I'm today, or not today. I'm gonna make several videos right now, but uh, I'm gonna be talking about the confusion behind this support that everybody sees for this Luigi Mangioni, um, which is really interesting. I've been noticing like a lot of people that I respect, a lot of people on the right, um, a lot of people that aren't typically aligned with the sort of that radical left political violence that we saw with Antifa or BLM or the Bernie Sanders shooter that when he shot up the congressional softball Republicans, the GOP, and I almost killed like what was his name? Steve Scalise. Um, and I'm starting to notice like this confusion and this conflating of ideas between like, okay, that is bringing everybody together around this idea that insurance companies are getting rich on the backs of um, poor, average, sick Americans, um, and making it like a class war between the haves and the have-nots. I mean, and the guy that has taken it upon himself to be like the Robin Hood hero is a guy whose parents own like hospitals, or owns a hospital, several nursing or skilled nursing facilities. He went to like the most expensive private school in the country. He went to UPenn, which is it's not Penn State. It's UPenn is an Ivy League school. My daughter went there for a year. Um, this dude was set to inherit $30 million from his grandma, right? So this dude is not like, I guarantee you we're gonna find out that picture of like this piece of jagged sheet metal. It looks like he was walking down the street and like found a piece of metal and then got some screws and like screwed it. Just ridiculous. It's the most ridiculous picture. There's no back surgery that's ever been done that has a jagged plate that's like folded and vented and it's got screws just going. I mean, they look like long, like 3-inch wood screws. They're silly, dude. It's like, and they go every which way. They're just like wah, wah, wah. And it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And I guarantee you that they're gonna find out that that is not that dude's X-ray. Like he found that, and he had it somewhere in his phone, and somebody decided that they were gonna make that his photo, and that was gonna give him the justification to murder some dude by shooting him in the back, right? Um, so I wasn't gonna do this video. I was gonna do another video, and I was gonna take the Surefire Ryder 9 titanium suppressor, which is silencer, which is typically a pistol silencer, and when you use it on a fixed barrel rifle, like a H&K MP5 or a H&K MP7 or B&T APC9 or TP9, anything that shoots like a 9 millimeter um, pistol caliber, right? And when you have these small subguns and you're shooting out of that silencer, you have to put on something that's called a fixed barrel spacer. And so you have to take off your Nielsen device, which is a piston and a piston spring. They call it, what else do they call it? A booster assembly, a booster piston, a Nielsen device, a piston and piston spring. It's just a bunch of, I'll show you what that is. And I'm going to take the suppressor off of a fixed barrel rifle that I usually use it on, right? Which is a H&K MP5. The civilian version is SP5. And if it looks a little different, it's because it's got the 10.3-inch Midwest Industries extended handguard that allows you to fit a suppressor in it and run it sort of contained, but not all the way. This is a long suppressor. It's modular. You can run it in two different configurations, a 5.9 and a 7.9. Now, when you're running it on like a rifle with a longer barrel, naturally you're going to get more of the accelerant or the gunpowder or whatever that causes the concussive blast. You know, like when you hear the explosion from a gunfire, it's always louder the shorter the barrel gets, because a lot of those combustibles are not exploding until they get outside of the barrel. The longer the barrel is, the more chance that it has to burn up inside the barrel. And so when you're running this suppressor on this gun, first you need a fixed barrel spacer, and secondly you can use it in its shorter form. And I'm going to take this off because we're going to put this on a it's a BNT, stands for Brugger and Pumet. It's a Swiss company, and they make a conversion chassis. It's a USW G17 conversion chassis for like Glock 19, or for Glock 17, Glock 19. Okay, so here's the suppressor, and it's a thread on, right? 9mm. Now, if on a rifle, a fixed barrel rifle with a longer barrel that allows for more of the combustible material to burn up, you don't need as much of the suppressor. So you might want to run it in its shorter configuration. Now, if you're running it on a pistol or something with like a pistol, like with a 4 or 4.5 or 5 or 5.5-inch barrel, then you are going to want to run more of this, because it gives you I think 3 or 2 extra baffles and more of the chamber for those gases to sort of get lost in and decompress before it comes out the end, right? So I took it off of a rifle that has a fixed barrel, which means that the barrel is connected through some bolts, some nuts or whatever, to the frame, to the gun's frame. And so that barrel doesn't move around, and if I took this handguard off to take the barrel off, it wouldn't just fall off. Like, there are bolts and shit that you have to undo, right? Okay, so it's coming off of a rifle that's got it's a fixed barrel rifle, and we're going to put it on a BNT USW or G17 USW conversion chassis. Now, this is something that isn't a lot of people use for like truck guns or backpack guns, like if they're going camping and they are dealing with like wildlife that might attack them, like a bear or a homeless guy that's on LSD and mushrooms, and he's killing people in the Northwest. So how this thing works is like that, right? I have an A3 tactical forward vertical handguard with a hand stop. So, because the last thing you want to do is have your slip and have your hand come out off in front of your barrel. And basically what this does is allows you to shoulder it. You get another point of contact, and you can really stretch this thing out. Instead of 30 to 50 feet, you know, you really can get it out to, probably 3 times the distance, just having the this little bar, right? Because you can hold it in, you can pull it to your body, you can mitigate recoil like that, as opposed to, you know, like when you're whenever anyone is shooting and you're going like this, right? You're dealing with only your hands trying to fight against the upward rise of the barrel. And so there's a bunch of, obviously, techniques and positions that you use your body, the way you grip the barrel, the way you stand, that help you stay on a sight, so that you're not, you know, having to shoot and then having to re-find your target in your, you know, the viewfinder of your red dot or whatnot. Okay, so to get it to work on this thing, right, because this is a floating barrel, and how this thing works is, when you take a Glock, I'm sure you can see the Glock. That is, here's the top, right, here's the handle, and by the way, this thing is unloaded. I'm not going to do this every time. Nobody fucks with my guns, and I don't have to prove that they're unloaded. Okay, so here it is, right? Now, I don't know if you can see this, but on the back plate of the gun, there's you change out the back plate. I think I have a back plate. Let me show it to you. An extra back plate somewhere. I know I have it somewhere, but anyway, I'm not going to waste my time looking for it. Anyway, the back plate, you take it out, and then you put a new steel back plate on that has I'll show you. This thing you twist. Actually, I think I have to actually take the thing apart in order to take the thing off. But anyway, so I would start to pull this thing back a little bit, pull down on my, I'm not going to do this right now. And then anyway, I would take it apart, put this, but this is a charging handle, right? Because there's no way to rack your gun when it's inside this conversion chassis, right? So that's how it works. So. I'm going to do that every time. Okay, right? So that's how you would do it. Shoot it, right? Now, if you want to shoot this suppressed, what you would have to do is take off your end cap, or I think this is called a back rear cap. So it unthreads. There's a front cap, and then there's an end cap, and the end cap has the piston and a piston spring. Okay, but because it was on the fixed barrel rifle, it's got a fixed barrel spacer, which is this, and the spring that it comes with. Right, so you take that. This is the fixed barrel spacer that you have to buy separately if you want your suppressor, if you want to run it on a pistol caliber carbine rifle, like an HK MP5. Otherwise, how this gun comes stock, and this is the when you buy this fixed barrel spacer, it comes in this bag, right? There's the picture. Right. So now when you buy this Ryder 9 titanium 9mm suppressor, it comes stock with this, right? You have to buy this separately, fixed barrel spacer, and it comes stock with this, and this added together makes a called a booster assembly. It makes a Nielsen device, and it was this thing exactly which the shooter, Luigi Mangioni, didn't have in his 3D printed suppressor, which meant that he had to like physically rack his gun. Otherwise, you know, if he had one of these, well, he wouldn't have been able to use it on a 3D printed piece of crap. I mean, all he had was basically a tube and some sort of baffles that would allow the bullet to pass through, and with the gases looking to burn up and sort of get lost in the maze of baffles and like little corners and whatnot. There are other guns that actually have like, they're called wipes, and they're like little rubber, they look like balloons or condoms, really. They're small, and there's a bunch of them, and they just fit in the tube. When your bullet goes through them, it's actually piercing through these different rubber layers. And each time it goes through a rubber layer, a lot of the combustible gas and the fire and the explosive concussiveness doesn't get through. And the more of those little wipes in front, but now those are temporary, and I believe because they're an NFA item, you can't just go buy them. You literally would have to buy each one of those separately, and it might come under like Form 4 or Form 1 when it talks about like making a suppressor, which it might be able to be approved quicker than you know, the long wait times for the expensive, you know, commercial suppressors that, you know, arm our military, you know, like the really good quality stuff. So anyway, so okay, here's the Nielsen device, right? And we know we did this last video or a couple of videos ago. If you look in here, you've got the piston sort of female area that this plugs into, the piston plugs into. And so what you do is you push this on. This doesn't thread on, it pushes, because remember, it has to sort of flex in and out when, like, very minute distances when there's a bullet fired, right? So now this is like this. Now this goes in, and now you thread it on, and now it's ready for a actual pistol that doesn't have like a floating barrel, non-fixed barrel pistol. Come on, dude. There's actually a tool for this. Okay, we got there. Okay, so there it is. Now, this is how you buy it stock. This is a how you would put. This is like this is what you would put on a Glock with a B&T USW conversion chassis. Thread on. Come on, dude. Okay, and there it is, right? So now And let me tell you, dude, shooting this gun with all the baffles in it, extra long, which means extra quiet, this really is like a John Wick assassin's gun, right? I mean, this thing is like so quiet that it sounds like letting air out of a tire. Like, I mean, it's so ridiculous. And I'm going to be taking this to the range. Coming up here very soon, I'm going shooting with a buddy of mine. Got an FFL, so we're going to be taking a bunch of stuff out in the desert. A lot of machine guns, a Barrett 50 cal, lots of stuff. Lots of NFA items, lots of silencer suppressors. But this is it, right? You could shoot it like this. Get me a thumbnail. This is a big dope thumbnail. Okay. Or you're in your car, somebody tries to run you off the road, they pull in front of you, their homie comes up from behind, they're going to try to take you out raw dog style. You go back through the your center window that usually your dog's big old sloppy tongue hangs in. You knock homeboy out behind the wheel. Pop, 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 pop. Whoever is dumb enough to be driving with him that day. And then homie running up on your front door. Pop, 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 pop. And if you're thinking straight, you have it with a 30-round stick. So homeboys, it's like, essentially it's like my MP5. 30 rounds, 9mm, silencer. And dude, I'll tell you what, if you guys want to hear what it's a silencer should sound like, Google Surefire Ryder 9MTI, standing for titanium, and just pick one. You know, I think there's one with a Chris Vector, and it just is ridiculous. So that's that. So that's the transfer of this is great. I'm telling you guys, this thing is so rad when you're like at the range and or kneeling down, because I mean you can really reach out and touch them, and the bore access sits so perfectly. Like with the red dot, I mean, it's like, God, so easy to hit targets at distance with this thing, and quiet. I mean, damn, it's incredible. Anyway, so this is quite the little package. This is quite the truck gun. That's how that rolls, right? So beautiful little gun, dude. And if you were ever to try to build one of these, it's actually a pretty I would say somewhat economically feasible thing to do if you're looking to have a subgun that shoots 9. I mean, that's in the same ballpark as like the TP9, a B&T TP9. You have the B&T chassis. You're talking Glock 17 technology, the Acro P2, in-point Acro P2, the A3 tactical grip. So it's like, you know, you can really get on it and hold it down and get all your shots like in a very, very tight grouping, and do it extremely quietly. You know, I mean, it's a really good gun if that's what you're looking for. And there's not a lot of over penetration because you would be shooting 147 grain ammunition through this in order to take advantage of the suppressor, because you'd never want to use ammunition that goes over 1,100 feet per second, because That's the speed of sound, and once you have a bullet that breaks the speed of sound, then you create a sonic boom. And you might be suppressing the sound within the gun, but once that bullet gets out in the world and pierces the atmosphere at over 1100 feet per second, you're going to get a crack. And it's a very distinct difference when you're dealing with between the different ammunitions. For whatever reason, the ammunition's a great price right now. I just bought 1,000 rounds of 147 grain. So we're going to have a lot of fun to be shooting. And I'm going to be able to shoot, let's see, using the suppressor, this Ryder 9. The ZEV, OZ9c, compact ZEV, right? I'm going to be able to use this little baby brother. Now, this is a I'm going to also be doing, by the way, another video on the ZEV OZ9, standing for Original ZEV 9mm. And I'm going to be doing a whole video on this modular package that allows for a person to buy a single internal steel frame and then run different grips. Right. So this is a full size grip on a short. This is a short grip. You can see there one's bigger, but you can see how they fall right in there, right? So this is a package where, you buy the frame, it's serialized. You do the background check on the internal frame. There's a takedown pin right here. Take that pin out. You do take the slide off, right? And then your trigger, that internal frame, steel frame, serialized, as you can tell, serial numbers like right along here, along this edge. And then you have different size, different sort of like tier slides. You have like just a basic duty slide, and with duty, it's like like when you're talking about duty, you're talking about like less stippling of the which is like engraving or sort of carving or machining the grooves in the slide. There's less mitigation, like window cuts that mitigate weight on the top. It's sort of fancy. It makes it look cool, but it also really adds to weight reduction. And so, like with this, these are both the elite slides, which means they're like the top of the line. And you can tell, there's like just a lot of lot of different levels of, like a machined slide, right? That's got like a bunch of very cool, just shit. It's even in here in the right there. Anyway, so like, look, both I was gonna do all these different videos, and now I'm just like, my OCD or ADD is just having me jump from one to the next. The second I start to describe that I'm going to be making another video, then all of a sudden I start talking about what's next. So we're still going to be going back to Luigi Mangioni and why it's not cool to be supporting this dude who like murdered a healthcare dude, because because healthcare in America needs to be fixed. Somehow, like, it makes it okay to like murder this dude, which was a total left-wing Antifa, BLM, just mindset. We were told like early on in the Trump campaign that like Trump was Hitler and he's the worst guy that we'd ever seen, and that was what was justifying all their attacks on him. all these like, never before done. He's being indicted. We don't do that. We don't indict ex-presidents. And we certainly don't do it over like this novel political or constitutional theory that might even not be a crime. Like he had a woman sign an NDA. And so like there were all these like conservatives, we saw all this happening and we're like, dude, there's nothing they won't do to this dude to keep him off the ballot. And me and all my friends, that aren't in that bubble that you guys, if you're on the left, what we were saying was that Trump's a dead man. Like they're gonna try to kill him. There's nothing they won't do to keep him out of the presidency, and it's still the inauguration hasn't happened, right? So right now we hear a bunch of stuff about like Elon's the real president and Trump's not, and blah blah blah, just trying to divide and create confusion and get everybody to hate Elon so that everybody's like non-trusting of anything he does, and then it creates Trump and it creates beef between those two. It's just such bullshit. Like Trump knows that his strengths are foreign policy, working major deals, energy deals, deals over weapons and arms and peace treaties, and he's doing big shit. And he's got Vivek and Elon at home dealing with the small potatoes, like the domestic policy. How to cut a bunch of bureaucrats, unelected bureaucrats, budgets or their jobs out of a budget in which they do nothing but fuck with conservatives. Like, let's get rid of those guys. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to make it sound like, oh, Trump or Elon is trying to take over Trump's job. Not happening. It's the dumbest thing ever. And it's such a coordinated, like, all of a sudden, you just know when it's just like, oh, here they go again. The next bullshit. Like, these people never learn. They just don't learn. They just don't sit back and say, you know what? We are fucking idiots, man. Like, we just play this woke game. We just play this identity politics, this virtue. Like, we're so virtuous because, Trump's Hitler. And that's why it's okay to try to shoot him. A couple of months ago, right? There was an assassination attempt. And it was like the first time in American history where like there wasn't like mourning and there wasn't like calls for justice. It was like there was like half or 40% of Democrats, or under 30, were saying that they had wished he had been killed. And so what we saw, the conservatives who know better, well, it was a prediction come true for us. Like, we knew this was coming. But for everybody else, like, because at this point now it's like clearly in the public's view, it's clearly within the scope. And at this point now they had to like sort of like, well, we don't really condone political violence. We only condone political violence with Trump because Trump's like nobody else before. He's literally Hitler. Like, this guy is so bad, right? And so that was the theory. And and we were supposed to believe, and anybody who knew, like, we saw them or radical leftists throwing frozen water bottles at police officers around the BLM riots, and nobody was being arrested. And then the second there's a riot at the Capitol and like some cops they got hurt, and there was a riot and those people did need to be arrested, but it was like nothing that wasn't happening on a nightly basis across America with radical Antifa, BLM leftists, and they weren't nearly to the same extent hunting these people down and like all points bullet and be on the lookout for this concerted effort to like find everyone who was within the social media posting, like crazy. But then when you had Mangioni, all of a sudden he's assassinated. And the mask comes off, right? Because these people are cheering, and the same people who are like, yeah, we don't normally resort to political violence to solve our differences, because remember, we're the ones that really care about democracy, and that's what we're the ones who really care about uh, the will of the people and whatnot. And so they kill this Michael Thompson or whatever, and these people cheer, and it was like they weren't even trying to pretend like they weren't celebrating. And that we're at a point now where it's like, as long as they disagree with whoever it is, political violence is okay, and murder and taking people's lives that you don't agree with politically is okay. And so when I see conservatives who are like, talking about like an understanding for this based on this like class warfare, that it's real easy to sort of get driven into this, into this sort of like we're all one deal. But the reality is that these are people that justified shooting, shootings, the softball players, or shooting that David Dorn dude. Anyway, fucking Luigi Mangioni is not a hero. The dude, it was like filthy rich. He was lost. He was aimless. He was like graduated. He was, out of school probably for 5 years, and sort of lost. And he had a back injury because like he was living the good life. Like surf, and he got a back injury. And like we're supposed to feel like he's a victim because he got his health insurance denied, which I don't believe for a second. Right? Now this is a fact, and anybody can Google this. His grandma, he was set to inherit $30 million from his grandma. There's no surgery you can't afford, right? And there's no way he didn't have surgery, and there's no way he was denied surgery. His family owned a hospital. They owned nursing facilities. There's no way that he had a surgery denied. And so he got this janky, rusty piece of hardware. Looks like an old door hinge. Like, it's so ridiculous, dude. And they're like, "Oh, this is in my back," and there's a rant like the doctor was just had like the screws in his teeth, and he had like a bag like with screws in like a sort of a fag bag, or what it's called. It's like a pouch, and he has screws in it, and he was sitting there to like take him out of his mouth and like and just like you would do a floor if you were putting it in a hardwood floor, and not even the real flooring, not even the real like hardwood, like the subfloor or the footers, it was so ridiculous, dude. There's no way that thing, and there's no way he had his health insurance denied. And if he did, I saw that dude fighting against the cops when he was like, "The American people, blah blah blah." Dude, he like gets out. Now check this out. I've had back surgery. I've had spinal fusion surgery. I've had my discs between L3 and L5 replaced. I have artificial discs, and I have spinal fusion of L3, lumbar 3 through lumbar 5. Now, I have pictures of like what they were going to do to me post-op and pre-op and all that. And I've been learning how to, making these shorts, learning how to edit. I'm going to put some of those pictures in. I'm going to take my time to edit some of the pictures and show you what homeboy that had basic insurance, the surgery that I got, and it's like next level taught. Now I need another surgery because apparently I was told by my neurologist before I even had the surgery that like the average person that has this surgery has between 5 and 6 surgeries. And the first one is to fuse the vertebrae, and then the next ones are sort of shorter outpatient surgeries where once you heal from the last surgery, you're constantly sort of troubleshooting because there's so many nerves and there's so many you have your spinal cord and you have so many nerves in that area that branch out of the vertebrae and go down the extremities, your arms and your legs, and so there's a lot. There's the most nerves anywhere are around your center line, and when you have that surgery, um, naturally, like when I got out of that surgery, dude, I couldn't I couldn't move my legs. The only thing I did, they said, I came to, and I looked at my legs and I tried to move them, and I could not move my legs. All I could do is barely squiggle my left big toe. And once I saw that, I realized, okay, so there's not a severed spinal cord. I'll get through this. I'll learn how to walk again. Now, since that time, this is 2019, I've never skateboarded since. It's broke my heart. And it's really what sort of brought me back into gun collecting and guns and sort of finding this again as a hobby, as a, out, whatever, you know what I mean. To the word I should really write scripts. Anyway, I've been talking too long. First of all, I want to say thank you to all my subscribers. I feel like this is a very intimate platform, and that like I don't know who is watching my videos, and I sort of really opened up on here and told a lot of things about myself that I probably wouldn't tell anybody unless you're very close to me. Like I've I'm currently caring for two parents in their mid 80s, both 84. My mom was recently diagnosed with dementia and Alzheimer's. A year ago, she was perfectly fine, and now sometimes she talks to the TV. It's crazy. But I'm very grateful that I still have her. And other than that, she has a clean bill of health, and I'll take her any way I can get her because I'm such a mama's boy, and I've always been. I'll put some of pictures of me and my mom in this photo. I'll get my editing skills on and show you what I've learned in the past 2 weeks. But part of me, like, having this sort of life-changing spinal surgery back in 2019 was that, like, it was just like the perfect storm of events brought me back here because when I had the surgery, I needed to be in a place where I could heal and I would have people around me. And prior to that, I was living in a 1-bedroom condo over off of right behind Cowtown on Central and Camelback. So over on the Avenue side where all the like that brand new sort of like hipster hotel is going up, and so when my back just spontaneously, after having a herniated disc back in 2012 on my 40th birthday, almost 10 years later, I had my back just go out, and it turned out that my actual disc completely dissolved, which they do after you've popped your disc, which is a herniated disc. It's like a ruptured disc. The discs have synovial fluid on, and they act as sort of like shock absorbers. It's like they're like jelly filled, like shock absorbers. And so you have those long nerve cells, and they go through the little holes in the different vertebrae and through the different spaces that they have, and then they branch off and whatnot. Um, and I don't even know why I'm telling you this, but long story short, when I had this surgery, I had to nowhere to go, right? And my parents were like, "Well, just why don't you just move here, home, or move here, and get your shit together, or get your relearn how to walk," which took 6 weeks, and I had a lot of occupational and physical therapy. And once you do that, then get a but while you're injured, there's no rush. Like, come over here. So I did, and that was right before the COVID thing, and then there was the COVID thing, and so I stayed with my parents, and um, it was like it was just at a time when the last thing you're gonna do is like go, if you're living with your parents, like move away from them, because at the time we didn't know if you had to have like the most important people in your life. Um, Otherwise, you would have to go through like a 6 day like transitional period every time you went to see your elderly parents, because you didn't want to kill them with COVID, right? And so I was already here, and that turned into 2022, and just just a lot of different things have uh, gone on in my life, and a lot of like personal stuff, and anyway, which is why like this channel has been something that I've been planning for a while, because I'm like, I have this time, I'm taking care of people. Um, After, I would say it's like retiring, I got very lucky with a project, and completely didn't know what was in front of my eyes when I took this job, but it turned into like something that wound up being sold, dealing with the marijuana industry. Some of you know it, some of you don't, but when I got out and marijuana went to being like for recreational, um, I had been working as basically the I would say like a super, like in construction they call it like a superintendent. So it's like a superintendent where you literally do every aspect of the job. And if you really put your time in, and you can maximize the output, so the yield of flower, marijuana buds is what you would call them. And you can do it in a way where you get the most terpenes, which is the smell, out, based on like the different sorts of nutrients that you put in. Just there's a lot to it, and if you do it right and you follow an instruction and you don't cut corners, you can grow a lot. I would say a lot is a pound and a quarter, because this is indoor stuff. We're talking about plants that are this tall, um, 3 feet tall tops, 4 feet sometimes. Not really though, because then they get too top heavy. But anyway, I did very well with that. I got out and had started working another job, and packing money away, and then my back went out, and so I had money, and it was lots of it was cash, and some of it was in the bank, and I went to have my surgery, and when I got out, I had it, still have a lot of it, and didn't, obviously most of this collection has sprung from the money that I had, and there's a lot of money here tied up in these guns. Um, so this channel is sort of just like not me, it's me not like trying to be like the tactical badass dude, like I'm not trying to be somebody that I'm not. I do have a long history, like a lot of experience with firearms, but that experience all dates back before 2003, when I really sort of like stopped shooting, and which is when I started dealing with an addiction, and I got, lots of reasons, but I didn't have a gun anymore.
And my parents didn't allow me access to guns, and so it was a very deliberate attempt to remove me from that part of my life, which is something I grew up around. And anyway, so naturally, firearms technology really changed in between the years of 2003 and 2019. And so now I'm here, and everything that from this point forward, this is all stuff that I've like when I got back into this after not being able to walk anymore because of my back, and skateboarding is very important to me. I dealt with some depression, and then I realized like, dude, I have to figure out a way to be happy because I can't not just sit here and be like, okay, I'm gonna have to find an interest. And I mean, it doesn't take a rocket science to understand that, like, at that exact time in my life, there are riots across the country, and there's a sort of realization that, like, the government can't protect you, and um, things are falling apart, and society's breaking down, and the people that you have political disagreements with think that they're justified in being violent, right? And and I knew, like, especially after coming off a back injury or a back surgery, like I am no longer a fighter. Like I'm not going to be able to whoop anybody's ass um, in hand-to-hand combat. It's just not going to happen. And and I started feeling very vulnerable. Like there's uh, I heard there's a movie, I forgot what it was, but they said that like there's a it's a big deal like when a guy finally starts to feel that like he's no longer dangerous. And that was like a very real sort of experience that I had, is like not feeling like I could physically protect myself with my back the way it is. Which brings me back to this Luigi Mangioni who's like trying to jump, and he's got handcuffs on, he's got a waist belt and ankle cuffs on, and he's like got five cops around him, and he's trying to like jump back over him to like get his message out, like I'm the I'm the class warfare, the rebel. And it's like, dude, how in the fuck are you jumping? Like, I was looking at that. I'm like, I could never do that, dude. Like, with my back the way it is. And yet, I have never felt like I have an entitlement to go murder somebody, you know? And so when I see people on my side, like, sort of agreeing with like this, like why do you think it's interesting that we're all fighting against the same thing? Like, like it's much more nuanced than people want to make it sound like. Like it's much deeper than United Healthcare denies claims. You know what I mean? And like this dude just sits around and get rich. United Healthcare had operating costs, and or after operating costs, and their profit was only like 4%. Dude, come on, dude. They're making it sound like this company was making like some godly, and they're like, well, it's the biggest health insurance company in the country, and then they're like, well, and it has the most denials, and it's like, well, yeah, it's the biggest company, right? Of course, it has the most denials. It insures the most people. It has the most people who would try to defraud it with bogus claims. And like the fact that they're making only 4%, like they've got a lot of costs. And I'm not standing up for insurance companies, but like, the day after that this dude went down, Blue Cross Blue Shield announced that they were no longer going to be um, or like refusing to pay for anesthesiology if it's not like on a specific guideline, right? There's like a sheet of guidelines like put out by the American Medical Association or whatever, and it says that like like if you do this surgery, it should take X amount uh, this or that, right? It should take this amount of time. Like, it's very specific. And a lot of people are complaining, like, you've heard the argument uh, about doctors overbilling for things like uh, drugs, like when anesthesiology and anesthesia, when you're out cold, and you get a bill for like $1,200, and it was a tooth, you had a tooth removed, or like all those things, right? Well, years ago, like, it was a bunch of liberals who were complaining that, like, we were being billed, and we were being charged, or it was we were like the doctors were billing us, and we were passing along those claims to our insurance company that were being denied. And those claims were that, like, that they were billing too much. They were saying and in a lot of the cases, like, some of these doctors were not, they were billing, like I remember when I was in the hospital once, they were giving me something called oxycodone, or no, no, not oxycodone, hydromorphone, which is like, it's super potent, right? There's oxymorphone and hydromorphone, and it's like so much more potent than like hydrocontin or oxycontin or whatever. And what was happening is that my nurse would open a brand new thing every time, and it had like 8 units in each one, but they were only giving me 1 unit out of each one, right? And every time they would throw it away, I was like, damn, dude, that's a whole lot of drugs in that thing, and I'm an opiate addict. And so they would throw it in the sharps container, and I was thinking, like, damn, I should jump in there, and then, like, I never did, but, like, I should hook it up to the IV thing that's like connected to the deal they screw on, and you could pump that shit in. Um, but what was happening is, like, every time they open one of those, my insurance company was being charged for all of it. It's not like they take this thing and they put it in the refrigerator until 3 hours later, and then they give you the other eighth of it. Every time they opened it, they would open all 8. They give you 1 unit, one out of 8, and because I was only prescribed X amount, um, they would throw the rest away. And I know that insurance is being billed the whole thing, and that's the problem in this country, is like you have doctors that are they're not they're not wanting the liability of like prescribing too much opiates, because then it puts them at liability. And so, but when they open the drug, the hydromorphone or the fentanyl, whatever, like, all these things come in these little vials, and they only give you a little amount of it. They're still billing the insurance company the whole amount, because each one of those vials costs money. And insurance was trying to put a stop to this, where doctors are billing the customer for an entire vial of drugs that they're not using, because every 3 or 4 hours they're getting a brand new bottle open and taking 1 unit off of it out of 8 units, right? Because they don't want to give you 2 units, because then if you OD'd, like, it would be on them, and like the all of the eyes are on the doctors these days. Doctors are being charged for like patients being addicted and whatnot, right? So the doctors are trying to protect themselves, but then the insurance companies are like, no, no, we're no longer going to just start covering all this absorbent amount of like stuff that doctors just constantly bill. And what they're going to say is, they're going to say from now on, like, but these are the arguments. They're like nuanced. They're much more complex than, like, he broke his ankle, denied. He broke his foot, his big toe, denied. She was pregnant, she had a miscarriage, denied. It's like, it's not that, like, that's not how it's happening, right? There are very complex, nuanced arguments going on that normal adults have. Like we have these conversations, and this is what like proper, or like civil discourse is considered when you're with real adults who actually respect democracy and actually care about democracy. And um, that's not what we're getting with this Luigi Mangioni. We're getting a guy who like thinks that like he has the right to just murder some father of two because he doesn't like how insurance denies people, right? And I totally question that photo being really his photo. I don't believe it is, because you would think somebody with that sort of resources is not going to have like Frankenstein, or Bill from the local like you know good tire shop like putting in your yeah. It's ridiculous. I saw that picture of like those screws. I was like, what, dude? That's such a joke, dude. There's no way that that's a real photo. I guarantee it. Anyway, so this is going way too long, and I was going to try to be making these videos like an hour apiece. So let me try to tie. So I guess I did talk about the Mangioni case. It's not cool for conservatives to be. I know it's very tempting, and it's almost easy to like get involved in this sort of like agreement that like we're all one and we all are fighting the man, and um, like this we need to rally around what's right, and this is about the elite taking care of, and it's not really. I mean, this Michael Thompson he was born in Iowa. He went to school at University of Iowa. He got out. He was an accountant, and he put his way through graduate school. He was not a rich man. He became rich, working for United Healthcare, right? And I'm not saying he's a perfect dude. He might have done some crazy shit in his past. But what I'm saying is like that's not how people like me or my people or the people that I want to follow. That's not how we are solving political issues. I mean, that's everything that we can't stand about the left. These arrogant people that think that they can just burn courthouses down and like, or they can like shoot cops, or they can stand in the middle of the road and like, just topple expensive statues that like honor our forefathers. Like that's the left's sort of like anarchist sort of ideology, right? And as I see, it's real easy to like get sort of fall into that deal, but we can't let ourselves do that. Like we're better. We are so much better than cheering for a guy who murders somebody, right? And I mean, and let's extrapolate this out a little bit further. You have this dude in the same week. You have this guy named Daniel Penny, and he was like this ex-military guy who had stopped a guy named Jordan Neely, who had a violent history in his past. Now they're going to call him a Michael Jackson impersonator, but the reality was this dude was violent, and he would get on buses and he would threaten people's lives. And the last time he got arrested, he smashed a girl in the face, an old 60-year-old lady in the face, and broke her nose and did a bunch of stuff. And like the dude is crazy, violent. Now, when Jordan Neely sees this dude have and by the way, this is a drug addict. So when you hear this, oh, he had mental health issues. He had mental health issues that were sort of facilitated by being a drug addict. I'm a drug addict in recovery. Nothing gave me an excuse to go act the fool, right? Walk around jumping on buses and hurting people and whatnot. Nevertheless, so you have Jordan Neely. and he sees this dude threatening people, and he puts him in a headlock, right? And dude dies. Now the dude had like all these, like just like with George Floyd, he had was suffering from a bunch of pre-existing conditions and heart disease, and I think this dude had sickle cell, and dude was just an unhealthy dude, and uh, Jordan Neely is the dude who was killed. Whatever the guy, I just said his name, but whatever his name is, he put this guy in a headlock because everybody was afraid that he was going to act out on his threats, that he was going to kill somebody that day, right? And so, dude put him in a headlock, and the guy dies. Obviously, not first degree murder. Obviously, like he didn't get up that day and say, "I'm gonna go kill somebody. I'm gonna go find a guy who's like threatening people on a subway and kill him." And so the left, they wanted so God, what was it? There's Jordan Neely and Daniel Penny. So Daniel Penny is the white guy with curly hair. He's the military dude. And BLM was there, and they wanted him to fry. Like, he's so guilty of killing this innocent man, right? But then if you look at how they look at Mangioni, right? And it really comes down to like, so long as that the target is either or perceived to be from a lower socioeconomic class, or he's black, they'll make a martyr out of him, right? Because the whole idea behind Jordan Neely was, or the whole idea behind all these leftists supporting, I'm going down so many rabbit holes in my head. Going down, like, fuck, I'm so done talking about this shit. Anyway, this Jordan Neely dude was killed because he was threatening people, and so, this other guy, the white guy, killed him, and because Jordan Neely was black, BLM and the leftists come out from their corner and they condemn this Daniel Penny because he's white and the victim who died was black, right? Now, Daniel Penny was a guy who would go out and threaten old ladies, and he had his most recent arrest was he broke an old woman's nose. So when the left talks to you about like killing Trump, they supported killing Trump because he's the next Hitler and like he's really bad. Otherwise, we really don't resort to this. And then there's Michael Thompson. Well, in his case, he's a CEO that makes $10.3 million a year, and so he had it coming because he's rich, right? But we really don't keep. And then all of a sudden, it's like, so what about Jordan Neely and what about Daniel Penny? Why are you saying that Daniel Penny, or that the civilians didn't deserve to be protected from this black Jordan Neely guy? And why aren't you supporting this white guy who put him in a chokehold and killed him on accident, but killed him? Because if your logic is, if you're staying on the same sort of logic, is like, he was a bad person. This Jordan Neely was a bad person that beat up old women, and Michael Thompson was a bad person that denied healthcare claims. And so it doesn't matter who did the deed, we're going to defend them. But what we realize is that they didn't defend this Daniel Penny because the guy who died, his person that he put in a chokehold was black. And you're only permitted on the left to kill white people, period. Just how it is. And they don't want to admit it, and they'll never say the obvious part out loud, but that's the facts. So, anyway, that's enough talking about the whole issue and why it's not right to support Daniel Penny or not Daniel Penny, but it's not right to support Luigi Mangioni or Jordan Neely. And we talked about that political issue and why it was okay to like support killing Trump, and political violence is okay with Trump, but only Trump. You know, because Trump's so unusual. He's literally the next Hitler, and then a couple weeks later, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, and now it's okay to kill Michael Thompson because he's like such a bad guy and he denies claims. And so like all of a sudden you're having the left they're being fully exposed. And now people, it's just like every week there's somebody new that's like either assassinated or killed. And they're just outright defending him. They're just like, yeah, we support this guy. And we don't support the guy who was clearly acting in self-defense. Anyway, so that's the Mangione deal. I think the dude is such a coward. And for as much money as he had, he's certainly had shit guns and silencers and stuff. Anyway, so we dealt with dealing with a Nielsen device on a reciprocating barrel, non-fixed barrel that's in like any striker-fired Glock style pistols. This being the B&T USW, which gives you that added ability to reach out a little bit farther than they are reaching at you. And if you are using a subsonic ammunition, that's, I think mine are, rated at like going like 950 feet a second, which is well under the speed of sound. It sounds like a small amount of air coming out of a basketball. Very quiet, very fun to shoot, dude. And I'm going to be shooting those when we shoot my steel targets. I've got a bunch of steel AR-500 Caldwell steel targets. And we're going to be going out doing a range day, shooting a bunch of suppressors, a lot of my collection, which is like some of my favorite guns that I've put together in the past 4 years. This being one of them. And this MP5, another one. Again, with the extended 10.3 inch, whatchamacallit? I can't think, dude. My brain is fried. I've been talking for an hour and 13 minutes. Nobody's going to listen to this. Nobody's going to watch this shit. Hey, I'll tell you what, guys. If anybody watches this video, please like it, and please don't unsubscribe. Please give me a chance until I can get this working better. I plan on being disciplined enough where I can speak and do this in a way in which I put out 7 minutes from start to finish. You're not going to see a lot of editing unless I'm editing a picture for referencing something that I'm talking about. But you're not going to be seeing like the photos of me sitting there and then all of a sudden my face jumps over here a little bit because I'm not standing in the same place. Like, I'm not going to be editing because I didn't say something right or because I don't look sexy from that angle or whatever. Like, I don't give a shit. So that's that. Talked about the whatever. So, talked about the I talked about the Nielsen device and changing a suppressor around from a fixed barrel to a short barrel. The Ryder 9 titanium suppressor. I talked about the Luigi Mangioni case. I talked about the modular system with the ZEVs And I'm going to break one of these down, take out the frame, and then put, perhaps even put the suppressor on this, the 9mm suppressor that's currently on the USW BNT USW or G17 USW. So that's that. I talked about the pistol caliber carbine. We're going to be doing a suppressor video with the man. I just keep making changes to my pride and joy. The multicam, the famous. I've noticed like a couple people out there, Kentucky Tactical, I'm on to you, bro. Where I'm starting to notice that people are like really biting my style, dude. And like they're going after my sick ass multicam Spear LT. Now they're usually getting like, whatever. In some cases they might be even one-upping me and getting like a Knight's Armament or whatever. But this is a Sage Spear. This has got, it's won a recent government contract solicitation, the next generation squad weapon for the U.S. Army, for the Israeli Navy Special Operations. I think it's called the Shayavet 13 or something like that. And the British SAS. So these are definitely starting to be seen through NATO countries, militaries that are, friendly to Western democracies, and but this is a beautiful gun. It's got that upper contained recoil system up here that allows for like a bufferless tube. And as you can see, this thing is just beautiful. I've taken a lot of time to like get as much of the I even use like the Cordura 500 wrap to multi-cam out the black rubber because I want the entire stock to be multi-cam. I didn't want like half this black shit or this black rubber, so I really cut it and did like some premium custom work. And this thing is by the way super glued with Gorilla super glue and like tucked, and it's just never coming off, dude. Solid. And anyway, this is a beautiful gun. And we're still testing the bore the precision to run a suppressor on this thing, right? Because the last thing you want to do is fire a bullet that destroys all of your baffles as it exits your $1,500 suppressor. Not cool. Anyway, so you tell me if this thing is centered. You can look straight at it, and that is like, that's the bullet's path, right? It's coming straight out of where there's zero tolerance. That's the exact width of a 5.56 bullet, and so that's the exact bullet path that when you fire a bullet, it comes out of my suppressor, and that goes through the barrel, through the flash hider, through the baffles, and then through the end cap. Anyway, and so that's a Surefire called what is it? A baffle something. It's a Surefire made by Geissele. Uh, it's an accuracy deal. You know, like it measures how accurate your bore is, so that you don't have a baffle strike. There might be a problem with the way that your flash hider and your suppressor interface and connect. You know, there might be some junk or some dirt or whatever, and it might, just be connected where it's just slightly off center, and it might lock on right, but it might be like just jagged to the side just enough to where it, like, that bullet gets through all those baffles, but at the very last one, as it exits the hole, it takes a nice ding out of the front of your suppressor, and then all of a sudden you lost half of its ability to be quiet, because now there's a big piece of steel missing, or maybe well, I don't know. I'm just babbling. So it's so funny. I want to make a video, and so I put it off for I wanted to make it all day yesterday, but I'm just like, I want it, like, as I keep thinking about it, and I'm like, well, I gotta make 2 videos, because I'm gonna talk about this Mangioni dude and how completely fucked it is for my homeboys to be like backing this dude. I mean, this dude's a clown. Straight up, like, bitch beta energy to shoot somebody in the back. And then to be like crying about it, like, the American people are not blah, blah. Like, shut up. And now he's in court because he realizes he's got like the Wade Wilson type fans. Now all of a sudden he's like smiling. It's like, what a fucking clown. That is what it is. He was totally looking for attention. They charge him right. I don't want to hear anybody talking about, like, he was overcharged. He did it in public. He did it where he did it, and he did it to who he did it to, because he wanted to make a statement. He had a manifesto, for Christ's sake. People don't write manifestos that are wanting to be left alone. This idiot was like wanting attention, and he got it, right? And he actually wanted to affect public policy. And when Blue Cross Blue Shield announced that they will no longer be itemizing anesthesiology, and it's now not going to. It's going to be easy for It's not going to be easy for the people or the patients to itemize out how much they're being charged by their doctors, and so the doctors can continue to overbill them. They're no longer doing that, because his desire to affect social change politically worked. That's the definition of terrorism, is like using fear and violence to incite policy change, right? And so he did it. He was successful. Now he's smiling, all smug and cool. And, meanwhile, it's like, there's people that are literally being burned alive by illegal migrants on the subway, and nobody's saying jack shit about them. Poor girl gets lit on fire by some idiot. Dude, I can't even say what I want to do to that dude. I can't even say it. Matter of fact, no, I mentioned that in a post yesterday, and YouTube suspended my commenting for 18 hours because I said that he should be publicly, I won't say it. Yeah, I did. God, all these smug little liberal pussies, man. They think that they're like, the world revolves around them, and they can just go around hurting people, and like they're so, like, just so avant-garde, and it's so lame. And if you're a conservative and you're a Trump guy, and you're one of these people that's had enough of this sort of like disgusting you know, sort of this entitlement of the we see from the left, thinking that the world owes them this victimhood ideology and this victimhood sort of just arrogance about people. If you're sick of that, then don't support this dude, right? Because this is a bad dude and he doesn't deserve our support. He deserves to be mocked as the clown that he is. And he's not going to make health insurance go down. He's not. It's not going. He's not going to be a hero that like makes everybody like it all better for everybody. You know, it's going to be cost more to insure the lives of these CEOs. That's going to be passed along to us. There's going to be more security that's going to be passed along to us. Like, it's not the prices. He didn't affect shit. And if anything, things got more expensive. Congratulations, dude. Congratulations. Thank you. Anyway, so that's that. Let me know in the likes and comments or comment section if you want me to do like a breakdown where I completely bust apart this gun and take off take the steel frame out of it and show you how it works, because I would be willing to make a video that completely shows you. You know what I should do? I should put this long one. That's what I'll do. I'll put this long one on this. Right? See how it's longer? Boom. And now what I can do is I can put this barrel, with the threaded barrel in here, because this is a Glock 17, a Gen 5 Glock 17 size barrel. Just like that barrel is a 9mm Glock 17. This barrel, and this barrel, and that, well, whatever. I can only use this on several of my pistols, not on my Staccato, not on my P226 double action 6 hour, not on my XL P365 Spectre Comp, and not on my MR920L Elite Shadow Systems. Oh yeah, yes on that. But I can put it on this, and it's going to look pretty fabulous with the flat darker tan color coming off here. Anyway, so that's how that works. And then what you do, so with a longer slide and the compact Glock 19 grip, this would be, it's called a covert. This is, I think it's called a Glock 34 is what a Glock 34 would be. If you have a short, compact slide and the 4-inch barrel on a Glock 17 full-size frame, that's a Glock 19X. Or a Glock 40? No. Glock 19X or Glock 45. And Glock 45 is not 45 caliber, it's the model number. So this is the now this is the before. What I was running was this shorter slide with the shorter barrel, 4-inch barrel, on the shorter grip. And the shorter grip, nice trigger this one. And the shorter grip is, so it's like a compact grip and and now a long slide. And so that's gives you sort of better accuracy, a lower recoil. It's easier to keep it flatter, to shoot flatter because it's heavier. A little better performance. I mean, not really. It depends on how much you practice. But so this is a compact grip module on a longer slide and 4.5-inch barrel, and this is the Glock 19 size slide, the Glock 19 size 4-inch Gen 5 barrel on a Glock 17 full size grip module, and this is the aluminum machined out of a single block of like T6 something, whatever, aluminum. Very beautiful gun. And so like the Glock 19X, which is this full-size grip, so you have the extra amount of grip space and extra amount of double stack space for bullets on top of a shorter, more compact deal, allows you for the most popular Glock currently in production, which is the Glock 19X. And so it would be like that. Actually, it's a little different. The Glock 19X was made for military, and it's colored tan, that peanut buttery, flat, dark earth color. The black one was made for law enforcement, and so there's a little bit different in some of the designs around the magwell and stuff, but it's essentially both a Glock 17 full-size grip and a Glock 19 compact slide barrel. And so that's that. Now, all I need to do is decide what I should put as far as the lights. Both of these are laser, right? Both of these are laser. One's a green laser. Right, where's that damn thing? Okay. But when you have, this one goes to the end, flush to the end with this. So this one's a little bigger, this laser. And this one goes to the flush with that. So if God, this is a full night with me. You guys should be so lucky. Let's see. You know what? I'm just going. Here it is. I almost forgot that you guys are there. I sometimes forget about it. You know, this is a freaking. It's crazy how like I can talk to myself for so long. It's almost it's a little bit disturbing, if you ask. To be perfectly honest, I'm not sure that's entirely normal that somebody should be able to talk to themselves for going on an hour and 34 minutes. But apparently, if you guys stick around, it's gonna be worth it. Be that one. I really don't want to bust into my Surefire package to get this thing. Okay, you guys, you stuck it out. You're gonna be rewarded. You're like rewarded watching you change the light on your freaking gun. Stupid. Anyway, guys, so tell me. You guys are sitting there looking at me like I'm fucking crazy. Okay, so that is a expensive little piece of shit. So now, boom. Almost perfectly flush. So that's that. This little bad boy. I always like this size. The shorter little pistol and slide, but with the big rip. I like keeping the lights on there appropriate because I like having that flush look. Sick. Anyway. Alright, guys. So that's the video. Let's see. This thing's gonna take hours and hours and hours to upload. Anyway, thanks for sticking around and for listening. Peace.